Oh, is the recording? It is recording.
St. Louis, Mississippi. Um, my maternal line, my great grandmother was Cecilia Collins, and her father was John M. Collins, and his father was Maximilian Jacques Collins, if I got it right, from my research. Of course, my grandmother, Nora, was a Boudin. So it was some Boudins that married Collins. And then I have Duretts. I have a lot of these names in my family line. But I've been trying, and I know they grew up on Mon Louis Island. And the Boudin side of my family came out of Bellefontaine. So the reason I'm on, I connect with so many Collins from this island through my DNA, and I've been doing genealogy for 8 years. So I'm excited about meeting so many cousins I'm starting to connect with via my DNA.
Cool. So do any of the people on here look familiar or any names to you right now?
Of course, my cousin now is Joyce Gates. You'll
Okay.
see Joyce on here. We met via DNA connections through the Collins. So that's how we become. And oh, by the way, I live now in Indianapolis, Indiana. That's why I'm living. So.
Okay. Well, thank you.
But
Welcome.
no, and I know Dr. Nordman from reading his dissertations about the Collins family, but I don't know anybody else on here.
Okay, and that's the whole point of
My
micro
cousins, I
reunion.
get their cousins.
Okay. Well, thank you for your introduction. I guess moving along to Miss Joyce Gates.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joyce Gates. I currently live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. My connection is also on my maternal side. My grandmother was Georgiana Collins. Her father was Oscar James Collins. I think they called him Big Jim. His father was Pierre Collins, and his father was Maximilian Collins. I guess his father was Honoré Collins. So that's kind of the way I'm connected. And I'm in the situation where the cousins, I think I mentioned this at one of the other reunions. My grandmother Collins married a baker, and they actually were first cousins. And so their mothers were sisters. And so they ended up getting married. So I've been doing genealogy since about 2012. I really love it. It keeps me busy, and I'm just trying to learn more about the Collinses.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I guess moving on to Mr. Darrell Collins.
Okay. Well, from the last name, I guess you can tell I'm a Collins.
Right.
My dad was Marvin Collins. My grandfather was Rupert Collins. And I'm related. I see Laura and Stacy here. My dad, Marvin, was their mom's brother, which was Bernadette. And I think I see Sherman here, whose dad was Aubrey Collins, was my dad's another brother. So, and I currently live outside of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia. But I was born and raised in Mobile, and lived there for a long time.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I have Laura.
Hi.
Hey, how you?
Good. Yeah, so my grandparents were Rupert and Bertina Collins. Um, Rupert's parents were Frank and Odile Collins. So I am one of their great grands. Um, so they had, between them, they had, let's see, 8 children, but one passed. And like Darrell said, I'm Bernadette's child. I have 3 sisters, and we all have children. So I have 2 plus 2 grands. Grew up in Pritchard, but because of the military, I'm currently in Texas now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And moving on to Sherman Collins.
are y'all this afternoon?
Good.
Afternoon.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of am late. I take it we're kind of just giving some background. Is that right?
Correct. We're just introducing ourselves
Introducing.
and just kind of giving that Collins connection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Daryl said, my dad is Aubrey Collins, one of Rupert's sons,
Yeah,
and
Sherman.
we had there were 5 of us. There was I was the oldest, and Reginald Collins was next, and Juana, who passed away about 10 years ago, and Marilyn and Aubrey Jr. And I'm in Birmingham now. I've been here since '76. Aubrey lives in Virginia, and he's got 3 children. And Marilyn lives out in west of Mobile, and she has a daughter. And Reginald has 2 sons.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And Stacy Shipman.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Stacey.
Well, I'm Laura's sister, so my mama's Bernadette Collins, and I have my aunt here with me. Nanny, you want to speak? And she's going to, if she's going to talk. Nanny, Nanny, this is Ramona. Say hey, Nana. You want to say hey? She said hello.
All right. Hey, Ramona.
Maybe 85, 86.
What?
She's about to be 86.
She'll be 87 tomorrow.
87.
Oh, wow. Happy
Wow.
birthday.
Tomorrow.
She's the last. She's the
only
last of the siblings on that side of Rupert and Bertina's children.
Right. Okay. But other than that, Laura covered everything. Now, Miss Joyce, you remind me so much of Aunt Honey Odelia Collins.
Yes.
You do. Because when I first saw you, I was like, that looks like Aunt Honey.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your introduction. Heather Jones.
Hi, sorry, I've never done Zoom before.
That's all right.
I'm fairly new to the genealogy thing, mainly because it's my father's side. A lot of things were made up to hide things. And then I took a DNA test and it connected me with Miss Tracy Neely as a 4th cousin. I believe Angie as well. So I actually talked to her on the phone, and she's helping me, or was helping me, navigate my family tree because names had been changed and paperwork had been lost. So that's why I found a connection to the Collins.
Okay. All right. Well,
I am. What's that?
no, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I live in West Michigan, born and raised here my whole life. Both sides of both my dad's parents are from Texas and Louisiana. So when all this came to light, it kind of caused a little bit of a earthquake in the family, but I'm pursuing it. I haven't been able to dig much further into it because of finances. I couldn't renew my Ancestry membership. So I'm slowly picking away and looking at the Facebook pages and hoping to meet some people and get more information that I can't seem to find. So.
Okay. Well, welcome to the group. We hope that you coming in, that you'll be able to find more information. Normally we host a Creole family reunion each year. MCCHPS, we've been around since 2017. So we've had 2. Of course, we couldn't have one this year because of COVID. Hopefully things will get better next year so we can have one next year. And then of course, we would love for you to come down, or anybody who hasn't been to one of our reunions to come down. It's very fun. You get connected to family members that you didn't know. We eat good, we party good, and we also have educational sessions. So
All right.
next year if it happens. Okay. All right. So kind of going back, Mr. Victor Patton, Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection?
Hi, how's everybody doing? Yeah, my name is Victor Patton. So I'm related to the Collins through my mom's side. My grandparents were Harry Mosby and Onelia Mosby Durrett. So looking at the family tree, Maximilian Collins would be sort of great grandfather going way back when. So yeah, I'm glad to meet everybody. And I was about to head back to Mobile this year. My wife and I haven't been back since I was a teenager. You know, we used to go back. I live in Fresno now, and I was born and raised in Sacramento. But we would always go back to Mobile to visit my grandmother when I was a kid. You know, every summer. You know, and spend time on the island and everything. But you know, haven't been back for a while, and I was about to go back, and then COVID happened. So, yeah, definitely been very interested lately about getting to know my extended family. And I think one of the cool things about the advent of social media is, you know, I get to meet all my family members from all around the world. So this is great. Happy to be here.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Sure.
It's a Victor. Is your grandmother Ruby Durrett?
My grandmother was Onelia Durrett.
Amelia, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Tracy, are you able to talk? Hey.
How are y'all?
I'm well. How are you?
Hey, cousin.
Hey.
Daryl and Reginald and my sisters, Stacy and Laura.
Hey, Tracy.
I'm just in the middle of getting off, so I was kind of late joining. But yeah, my grandparents were Bertine and Rupert Collins. And my mother was Bernadette Collins Lewis.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, get home safe.
Well, I'm trying. It's kind of raining here now, so I'm trying to get home. See about some patience.
All right. Let's see. I guess next on the list I have Ray Richardson. Ray, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Ray.
Hey, I am not a Collins.
Look, she been barging in on all these meetings. She been like crashing the party every
I
week.
know. I am not a Collins, but all my relatives are. A lot of them are. I'm a Chastain Andrew. But and I do have relations to the Tips who are related to the Collins. But I don't know how I'm related to the Tips, so it's, you know, kind of crazy. But hello, Sherman. You probably don't remember me, but I live down the bay. I know y'all lived on Texas, right?
On Elmira. The Birches, you know, Celeste lived on Texas.
Yep, I know Celeste. I know all your relatives. But someone told me that your sister had passed, and she was a year behind me at McGill, and that really kind of touched me. But I used to see Reggie from time to time. So.
Okay, cool.
But
Reggie didn't get you in trouble, did he?
No, he did not. I was a bad nerd.
Ah, that's safe.
Yeah. So I'm here to support Barja, really.
Oh, thank you.
And Tracy's married to my cousin.
All right. Let's see. Jessica Bell.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
I am related to the Collins on my mother's side. My mother is Alicia maiden name Hudson. My grandmother is Mildred Collins, and my great grandparents are Dennis and Alice Collins, excuse me. And way down the line, related to Maximilian Collins.
Okay.
Jessica, are you the one who was on the phone earlier?
No.
That was you. Okay.
It's a pleasure to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
All right, let's see who else do I have on here. And I think we have Damon Hennenberg.
Hello.
Are you there? Okay.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi.
Damon.
Hey.
Hey.
Let him know what we're doing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Introduce yourself, Damon.
Okay, so hey, Damon. So what we're doing right now, everybody's just kind of introducing themselves and just explaining like their connection to the Collins family, if there's a connection.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, my mother, Collins, is on my mother's side. My grandmother was oh my God. Mary Magdalene Collins, and she was married to Frank Chastain. And I'm descended from Simon and Virginia Collins on my great grandmother's side.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Which related to the Lordings, Lalands, and the Durettes.
All right. And is there anybody else on here that I might have missed? I think I went through everybody, but just in case I missed someone.
You didn't, did Chris introduce himself?
Yeah, I was gonna get to, I guess.
Okay.
You know, but I was just trying to see if there were any other Collins or just anybody that was just on here that was just interested in learning about the Collins. Well, if not, okay, well, we'll go ahead and introduce Dr. Chris Norman.
My name is Chris Nordman, as Barja said. I am one of, I guess, two people who are here this evening, well, maybe even more. We're not related to the Collins. I'm not related in any way to any of the former free people of color in Mobile. My interest was started in the 1980s when I was in graduate school and needed a dissertation topic. Long story short, my dissertation dealt with free people of color in Mobile County. The original plan was to include Baldwin, those free people in Baldwin County, but I had my hands full beyond the max dealing with Mobile. And two of the goals that my late mentor had, and I've assumed those two goals, was one, to write a narrative history of free people of color in Mobile and Baldwin. I have been in the process of working on ideas to expand the dissertation. And the other main goal that he had, my mentor had, was because he was working on the free people of color in every other county in the state of Alabama except for Mobile and Baldwin, which he had originally started to work on. I came along and took over those two counties. But the goal was to write a biographical directory of each and every free person of color from birth to death. And that's part of what I've been working on. I'm getting done a lot of work. I've done additional research since the original research was done. And I'm happy to be here and happy to meet everyone.
All right, thank you. And Sean, Dr. Williams, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Sean, and my connection to the Collins is a bit distant, but I have my great grandmother was Marguerite Collins Stewart, and I have yet to figure out how she is connected to some of the other better known Collins in Mobile. So that's one of my missions, is try to figure out that connection.
Okay. And for myself, I'm more of a distant cousin. My surname line is the Klopners, which Bertina Klopner married Rupert Collins. And so that's my connections to that side of the Collins family. And of course, on Ancestry, I do share DNA with like some of my cousins that are here online, like well, Damien's not online, but I guess, you know, like Laura and other people that are on that particular platform. So that's my connection. And so I guess kind of going forward, like I said, a lot of us, we don't know each other, but can somebody tell us, like, I know the Collins family started like on the Malu Island, or Malu Island as some people pronounce it. Do anybody have like any fond memories, like any of the people online now, as far as your memories of being on the island, or any events or special things that took place, since that's heavily related into the Creole culture?
Yeah.
Well, I got a little story. I used to go down every summer. One of my great uncles, he owned Chastain Beach, and he was part Collins. So we used to go down there every summer, and I used to meet up with a lot of my family members down there. His name was Vernon Chastain, but he was part Collins, and he had a beachfront. I know a lot of people from the islands used to go down there and swim.
Okay, all right. Anybody else like have any other fond memories of being on the island?
I'm up.
Oh, sorry.
Can I piggyback on what Damon said?
Sure.
I remember going to Chastain and Faustina's Beach as a little girl as well. We would sneak on the, jump off the jetty and sneak in the sand and sneak up onto Chastain and Faustina, because we were just too young. We were like maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. And, they would shoot us off when we would run back, but that was just fond memories.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I just remember one thing I really liked was my Uncle Harry had a wharf out there, and that he had built. And we used to go out with these bamboo sticks that we used as fishing poles and catch fish, catfish. And, I remember we caught a flounder once. And I remember one of the best memories was we went out on a boat once, and I was just a kid. It was my first time even being on a boat. We were out in the Gulf, and there were dolphins that were swimming on the side of the boat, and we thought they were sharks at first. And then my dad actually caught a shark, which was really cool. I mean, I must have been probably like 7 or 8 years old at the time. And I thought that was pretty amazing. So yeah, a lot of fond memories of those days from my youth.
Yeah, we used to go down when we were younger. Sherman knows this. Grandpa had a pier down there and had a little trailer, and Ain't No Deal and Uncle Gene had the main house, and we'd go down there and just have family gatherings and stuff. And I guess it was after probably Frederick, Sherman, 79, trailer was turned over, and things kind of died out after that.
Yeah. Dad, tried to build a house, next to the trailer. There was, Uncle Gene's house, and then it was Grandpa's trailer, and then Dad had a house, next to it. And you got the frame of it up. We would go there, during the summer for a couple of summers and try to finish it up. And, I guess one of the weirdest memories were we would look forward to going and helping Dad, air quotes, build something. And we would always get sardines. That was a treat, sardines and crackers. But I'm glad you mentioned Uncle Gene's. I could not remember Uncle Gene's name, with that house down there. Just
Gene and Odile Arnhem, I believe, was their last name.
Okay. Yeah. Aubrey and I we spent the weekend together this weekend up in Tennessee, and we were trying to remember a lot of folks' names, and I'm glad I was able to get on here now.
I have a question, Daryl Collins.
Yes.
Who was Gene? Gene had a wife?
Gene was married to Odile Collins.
Okay, did he have like a deck go out into the water? You could fish behind his house?
No, his house was, when you first cross the bridge going onto the island, if you make that left, right there on Powell River.
Yeah, Gene was he was my godparent.
Yeah, they didn't have any children, I don't believe.
He didn't. Yeah, he was my goddad.
Okay, but his house was there, and then across the street out front was the pier on Fowl River, and Grandpa had the lot next to him, like Sherman said. Uncle Aubrey had the next lot over, and
Gene was my god. He was my goddad.
Yeah, his wife and our grandfather Rupert were brother and sister.
Okay.
One other thing I was gonna say, I've been trying to do a lot with genealogy, and there's one guy that I got in contact with. His name is they call him Bubba. I can't remember his first name. Last name is Daly, and I think he still lives down there on the island. And he sent me a file. I printed out most of it. It's 200-300 pages, and it goes back to, I want to say, the early 1700s. Even because there were a lot of different Maximilian Collins, but they go back to even before we were Collinses. We were, I believe it was Collin or something. Didn't have an S and one N, and it traces down. So a lot of these names are familiar, and they pop up. And I forget who it was. I want to say Ray Richardson. Maybe not. Don't quote me on this. But a lot of the old names like Andre and Glaude and Durrett and Chastain and all of those names pop up in various times. And so it's a good resource. I don't know if Dr. Nordman would want that or has seen it, but he's done a lot of research, I guess, down at the church and down at the Immaculate Conception downtown and at City Hall. So it's a pretty good resource. I've been going through it, but it's just a lot of information.
If you'd be willing to share, I'd be happy to take a look at it. Yes, please.
Okay, if you could send me your email address so we can maybe make a connection, I can send that to you.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
Darren, you said the man's name was Tom.
Tom Daly? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Bubba. Because I sent it to you, didn't I, Laura?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say he's still living?
I believe he is. Last time I spoke with him was maybe just before the pandemic. But I think he's a generation ahead of me. He's probably in his 70s or so.
Oh, okay. I was introduced to him through, I guess, originally one of the email lists back around 2000 maybe. And I think we probably exchanged a few emails, but I don't remember the content or anything. But yeah, good to know.
Yeah, actually, Laura shared that document with me. And actually, Chris, it's the one that I sent to you the other night that I was trying to verify the veracity of the document.
Okay, all right. So I kind of guessed that when you said that.
Yes, because I think what it was staying in the first page or the first generation, that Joseph Cologne and Julia Villars Perron.
Yeah.
That was kind of like maybe the starting of the Collins family here within the Mobile area.
Wasn't there a man they called Yellow Jack that was in the lineage way up there?
Maximilian.
Maximilian. That's Maximilian.
Yeah.
Ms. Gazer, you have anything to share as far as
Well, I don't really have memories. I mean, I didn't grow up there. I grew up actually in Ohio because that's where my grandmother Collins and grandfather Baker moved. But I did go down to the island when cousin Leroy was there and just had a really nice time. He took us around and he had a nice pier where he could do his fishing, and we just I had a good time with him. It was just an amazing thing for me to see because I had heard about Montluc practically all my life, and I finally had a chance to see it.
Oh, okay. Does anybody have like any pictures, I guess, in your reserves of family members from way back when? Because one of the reasons we're bringing this micro reunion together is to bring us all together so we can learn more about each other and our connections, but also trying to build a reserve of documents and also possibly photographs that we can use so we can start tracking the history just for us in the present and for future generations going forward.
I have a picture of my great grandmother.
I'm sorry.
I have a picture of my great grandmother, Mary Magdalene Collins.
Okay, will that be something that you could send to us at some point? We can start, like I said, cataloging photos. and sharing trees.
Now, the weird thing, when Frank Chastain left Chastain, went down to Mount Lewis, they live in something mill, would it be Briar's Mill or Brewett's Mill? And I asked people about it today, nobody knows about it. But that's where they lived at, and down on Lewis Island. And come to find out, my Frank Chastain, which married Mary Marilyn Collins, his father John Chastain married a Collins. So when John married Mary Collins, it produced my grandfather, and then in turn he married back into the family. So I saw that a lot back during the 1800s, early 1800s, 1700s. That's just why the Collins. I got it all written down. I have to go through it. Oh yeah, she did. So so Frank is actually part Chastain and Collins, and he married a Collins. So and that was very. What I saw over the last 200 years down there, a lot of them. That's why the Collins is in every family, from the Dugans to the Tips, Duretts. I mean, I'm related to everybody down there because everybody's for Collins, you know, just like the Chastains did. So, so people marrying third and fourth, fifth cousins was really common. Because I was down there at Mardi Gras one year, and this guy walked up on me. I never seen him before. He said I looked just like his brother, and come to find out our grandmothers were sisters. So that Collins blood is real kind of strong because I think because of intermarrying and cousins marrying cousins. I think over here, because there's no way. He said I look exactly like his brother, and our grandmothers were sisters. So he picked me out of the crowd.
Well, Barja mentioned about our wanting to build like a repository of data. Would anyone here want to like involve themselves in like sort of leading that and coordinating that among the Collins?
To do what?
to help to help
I
like,
nominate not
to gather and gather and collect information, like like Damon mentioned that he had a picture. Some of us may have pictures and documents and things, and if we could kind of gather them together and probably and maybe lead to maybe building a page, maybe it could be a Facebook page or some kind of way where we can kind of pull all of this stuff together. So of course, we'll assist. People, us at Mobile Creole Cultural and Historical Preservation Society will help with that. But it would be nice to have a couple of people who might decide to be point people to help keep this moving, and that way we can kind of we can have a lot more to learn and share with each other.
Yeah, I'll help.
You'll help? Okay.
Oh, is that Laura?
Yeah.
So what if we set up a Facebook page, we'll just be like a private Facebook page for us and we just upload pictures there?
That can be a way of doing it, yes.
Okay.
And also I would like to do like maybe even a document too, because at some point we have a library in Chastain, Alabama, small little library at St. Peter's. And so we've been collecting information the last few years, anything that's Creole related, from the Andrews to the Chastains to the Collins to the Duretts, within this little library. And so that's why we would like the pictures as well. So we'll have digital copies, but also, when you come to the library, there are physical hard copy items that you can pick up and peruse through as well to help you with your family history research.
I have a question. Is Chris there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I got tons of documents here, but they were listed in the late 1600s, early 1700s. The Collins were listed as boatmen. So was that a term for fishermen, or they actually built boats?
Well, that's funny because I was going to ask the group if anybody knew anything about the boat building business in the Collins family, because there's at least one or two articles that I've read, I think done maybe written in the 1950s or so, that that dealt with the blue building and mentioned around the Civil War period, around early 1860s.
Yeah,
So
I got.
I'm only guessing boat building rather.
Yeah, my great grandfather Simon, that's what his people did. They were called boatmen, so they built boats. So
sometimes they're referred to as boat rights. So mean that, then that's definitely a designer or a builder of a boat.
Yeah, that's what the late 1700s, early 1800s. They said they were boatmen. So okay, that makes sense.
Are you familiar with that article that I mentioned?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have a few documents like I found as well. And I guess, Kristen, that's something we can start uploading if we want to create like maybe a Collins folder. So it'll be like a small repository, like if people want to pull different information from, and like I can, if I can collect everybody's email addresses, then I can also send you any pieces of information that me and Chris have as well, or maybe just create like maybe a Google Drive folder and send you all the links. And then that way everybody can start uploading their information into that folder, and we'll have access to that folder at any given time to pull any information that you need to help you with your research.
And another thing I was talking to Sean last week at the Gomez reunion. I've looking at all my relatives on the island. There's a large percentage, and I told you, Chris, I told Tracy, and she said she's going to talk to you about it. There's a very large percent of Jewish bloodline within the Collins, Duretts, and the Lelands. So a lot of my cousins that did 23andMe came up, and even Ancestry, where they got 10, 12, 15%, 10% Jewish bloodline. Then I traced it back from the Collins to the Lordings, through the Lelands, and finally from the Duretts. And they came from France, and they were French Jews when they first came here to Mobile.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was interesting for those who didn't know.
So would you?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So would you recommend doing the 23andMe also?
Yes, I'll always do a cross-reference. It's good to look at it because it shows the genopath on the female side and the male when it goes back. And guess what? My ROA is ancient Palestine and Jew. So I was correct. It goes back from Ethiopian Jew, Arabic Jew, Persian Jew, and Palestine Jew all have ROA, a blood genopath. So.
If you're talking about like retesting for, I don't know if it will be necessary for you to retest for 23andMe.
Right.
The things you can use, JetMatch will allow you to compare tests with other testing companies. And also JetMatch also has some other tools that can also the same things, can identify.
Oh, that's the test I won? Is that the one I won? Is that the one I won at the door prize?
No, you won an Ancestry DNA. But,
okay.
But whether you test on Ancestry or 23andMe or whatever some of the other ones are, always you can download your raw data and you can share it with JetMatch and compare it to other people's DNA. So that way, someone who is tested on Ancestry and someone who's tested on 23andMe, their DNA could be compared through JetMatch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So how many people have taken the DNA test or have done your DNA test?
Yes.
I'll say everybody.
Well, my DNA test results have changed 3 times.
Yeah, my change is 2 each time they do an update.
Yeah.
The numbers get more refined and revised. Yeah.
So your DNA hasn't changed. This is the analysis of it.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird because on the testing side, there was a man, y'all familiar with, named George Washington Reed or whatever. And his mother was part Italian. And when I first did Ancestry, I showed up, I had like 1% Italian, and I knew this man didn't be Italian. Then they took it away. So I thought that was weird.
They took it away.
Yeah. Hey, I'm no longer that, yeah.
But it may come back up in the next update. So
Right.
Yeah, at one point mine said like 1% Jewish, and then that went away.
Yeah.
Who was that talking?
That was Laura.
Or
Okay. Well, it's correct.
But see, here's the thing, though. That's why you want to test as many people as possible. You know,
Right.
Because a lot of people don't understand. Like, even if, because I used to think that, okay, if I tested, then my brother doesn't have to test, right? Because we have the same parents and all that. But that's not true, because there's some things that might show up in my brother's DNA that don't show up in mine, even though we're from the same pool of DNA. So that's why you want to, you know, try to ultimately test as many people as possible.
Yep.
Do you have somebody new on?
Oh, we do?
I'm just curious, in terms of documents, has everyone seen this document book by Rosemary Parker Brazil Butler? I found a lot of information in that. And yeah, I thought it was very helpful. And when we get the Google Drive set up, I'd be willing to share a digital copy of that, because that has a pretty detailed breakdown of family members all the way back from Joseph Collin and Julia Villiers down to Nicholas Bowden, I think. So yeah, I thought that was very helpful. So
somewhere I saw that document very recently. That's why it sounds very familiar. But you know, one of the other things we want to do too is, especially with all of the folks who have tested with the DNA test, is also I want to kind of build some kind of I don't know whether I call it a map or a database where we can all kind of share who we are. Like for instance, if you tested on Ancestry, some of you might be on my list of connections on Ancestry, but I don't know your username, so I wouldn't know that, right? But if we can build a sort of database, when I say database, I don't necessarily mean like electronically, but if we can build a list that identifies who we are as far as our username, and also share like our trees, then we can kind of make more sense out of the DNA information that we have, because like I said, there might be 3 of you who are matched with me, right? And I don't know it because I don't know I haven't met you, right? And I don't know your username. But if we were to share that information, and then if we understood each other's tree a bit, then we can kind of map out our connections, right? So ultimately, this will be a way of kind of connecting the web of Collinses, you know, and also, of course, with all those other families, you know, as we map out each family group. So I really meant to have created a questionnaire that would help us sort this information out. So I'm going to do that sometime soon, and then we can find a way where we can all kind of share, like, you know, what our username is, what test that we test with, share our trees, and then of course also it will be important to get everyone to who has not done it, to download their raw data, and so that we can do a comparison with GEDmatch, you know, and figure out more details of our connections. Did any of that?
I totally agree.
Oh, okay.
I totally agree with you, Sean. That's how my DNA matched with Joyce Gates on here, with Damon Henningberg. That's how we actually met and realized our connection going through the Collins family. And I have, I mean, it's so many Chastains, Durettes I'm kin to. I mean, I think I'm kin to everybody on the island, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's a good step.
From my perspective, I
And
would
then
suggest if you could send a pedigree chart to see exactly where where you fit in and kind of compare and contrast and whatnot. I think that would help too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that, yes, and attach with your.
And I noticed there were because I saw Andrew on my mother's side and my father's side. Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
There's Andrew in the Collins side too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I definitely I'm very eager to try to figure out my Collins connection, because I have there's my Collins ancestor, Marguerite Collins, left a very good document footprint. But there's not much, I don't know much that precedes her, because there were two people who are identified as being her parents, two sets of parents that were identified by different people. But I haven't found any confirmation of either one, So that's one of the things that I'm really trying hard to, hoping to that I will figure out soon. So if you don't mind, or if you might be interested, there's a story that we recently discovered that actually involves my Collins ancestor that I'd like to share with you. And we kind of stumbled across it this past weekend. There's this. Well, let me start off from the beginning of how I came across it. Chris, some time ago, posted this excerpt from this piece of an article, a newspaper article, and it talked about the murder of a Gomez little boy, who's murdered at 4 years old, right? And so this article, it caught my interest because, I'm a Gomez, and I was trying to figure out who, but the article, it identified the boy as Lawrence Gomez, and then the mention of the parents only said Mr. and Mrs. Gomez, so I couldn't figure out anything about it, and I could not find any mention of that article again. And Chris had posted so many things, that we even have trouble even tracking down the story he had posted. And so for a long time I was trying to figure out how that connected to me. And then I come to find out that, just recently, there's this woman who's doing a research on the sentencing of death sentences and sentencing and criminality and the courts from the 1800s. And so she was doing, she happened to be doing research on that very topic. And so it turns out that and I didn't know this last week, Damon. I didn't know this last week, just learned a few days ago, that the parents of the boy were Francisco Gomez and Francisco Gomez and Rosalie Stewart Gomez, right? So Rosalie Stewart Gomez is the daughter of Marguerite Collins Stewart, right? So I mean, the story is really fascinating because here's the other thing: Marguerite Collins, who was a free woman of color, she owned the enslaved 11-year-old boy who was said to have killed this little boy Lawrence Gomez, right? Wow. So she owned the boy who was 11 years old, and she was the grandmother of Lawrence Gomez, who was 4 years old. And so it's a very terrible story, because one, you had the death of Lawrence Gomez, who was killed by, he was killed by a hatchet. The 11-year-old enslaved boy was responsible for watching over him. And so according to some of the court testimony, there was the 4-year-old little Gomez that he was watching over had messed with his kite one day, and he got upset about that. And the next day he ended up killing him, and so it was doubly tragic because the 4-year-old was killed, right? And then this 11-year-old boy was eventually executed. So he was executed at 14 years old, right? And it turns out that this was like a major case that actually went before the Alabama Supreme Court. It was a major case because of the age of this person who killed this little boy. Because at that point, if you were less than 14 years old, then you were not criminally liable for murder, so you wouldn't be executed. So there was great debate over whether to follow through with the execution. Ultimately, they did. One of the things they considered, of course, was the fact that this was an enslaved African boy, and so he was the last person of that age, of course. Might have been the only. No, he wasn't the only, but he was the last person of that age to be executed. But anyway, that story is directly connected to Margaret Collins and to the Gomez's, and that just blew my mind that was so close, because I'm directly related to all three of those people, as is and well, Damon is related to them too, indirectly. Anyway, I thought that was a really interesting story, so I'm trying to research that a little further.
Yeah. Wow.
So, well, let me ask you this, because I know I probably came across it before, probably reading Chris's dissertation. But how many Collins were slave owners? Creole Collins were slave owners. Chris, do you know?
Not offhand. I don't know the number. No. I'd say at least a half a dozen. That's a guess. Throughout the period, probably could be more.
Well, I hope my story didn't depress you all. Yeah, but it is interesting. It's very tragic, though. Very
interesting.
Very tragic.
I'll ask you, Sean, instead of doing it privately, do you know the name of the Supreme Court case?
Yes, Godfrey versus Alabama. No, Godfrey versus State is the way they word it. Godfrey versus State. I'll type it in there. And in fact, it might be somewhere on my computer now.
Who was Godfrey?
Godfrey was the boy. Was the enslaved boy who was the murderer.
Okay.
4-year-old, but the 11-year-old. So yeah, and it took a couple of years because they were wanted to offer clemency, clemency in the sense that they would not execute him, but eventually they consented to executing him, and he was hung by the sheriff in 1858.
Did your contact person find the records from the lower court before it got to the Supreme Court?
She has some records, but from
it was mainly from the Supreme Court case.
Mostly from the Supreme Court case, but she did mention some of the records that she was going to share with me from the earlier case, but I'm not sure if they were summaries of those cases or actual more direct documents, like I don't think they did transcripts at that time. But they had.
Do you know the year of the case? Of
Yes.
the Supreme Court case.
Yeah, the case was 1857. Yeah, the 1857 was the time of the murder, and 1858 was the execution date.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, yeah, the date of the murder was April of 1857. I'm looking at it, and the execution was July of 1858. And now the interesting thing, nowhere else have I seen any indication of Rosemary and, not Rosemary, Francisco and Rosalie having a child named Lawrence, but according to, what I read from that last case, it's clear that they were his parents, because they mentioned that, that Marguerite Collins was the boy's grandfather. I'm sorry, grandmother was the boy's grandmother. And Rosalia Stewart, I know, I definitely know very well that she was her child.
Well, I wonder why he doesn't appear in the baptismal records. That's since the rest of the family was baptized, or at least most of them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Unless the one thing I didn't check was if the baptismal record was in the white book, white register. Which is possible.
Yeah, that's
That's the one thing I'll try to do that tomorrow.
Well, I hope
it's a long shot.
Yeah, I hope you find something.
And I also had like just a little PowerPoint that I started just as like a personal little project that could, once we start getting documents and pictures and things, we can start infilling it. And so I wanted to kind of like share that with you guys. It's like I said, really basic, just kind of starting out. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So like, just kind of starting here. And then of course, as we talked about, the origins of the Collins family are, as well as many Creole families, started on Mount Louis Island. So just a brief history.
Give me your phone real fast.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear. Okay. All right. So of course we know that there's a French settlement. The land was given land grant to Nicholas Bodine, which we've heard that name pop up in you guys' conversation a lot. And then of course, over time, the land was divided off amongst many families, which of course the Collins and Maximilian Collins being a major landholder within that area. And I think a lot of Collins still own pieces of land in that area to this day. And excuse me, I have some malware on my computer. So if y'all see this virus thing that keeps popping up, I apologize for that. Also with the island, if you are a native of the island or have visited the island, you know that Catholicism and St. Rose of Lima Catholic Church is a very important structure, and not just the structure, but the faith and center, I would say like a centerpiece within that community. As you can see, the little tiny church in the bottom and the infamous, or I would say the famous statue that you see when you go into the church when you attend service there. This is Dr. Norman's Collins file. So of course, like I said, we already have some information. So if there's particular things or items you guys are looking for as you do your research or as you're trying to fill out your family tree, you can always call on some of us to see what we have in our reserve. And like I said, I think putting that Google folder together will be a good beginning to helping us further dig into our research on our families.
So I want to share something.
Sure.
So you was talking about the land and how it was divided, amongst the Collins and stuff. Well, the street that I grew up on was named Christina, and the street that my grandparents owned a home was on Bertina. So Bertina was my grandmother's name and Christina was her sister's name. That's a fun fact.
Right, which Christina would be my great grandmother, I believe. Yeah, my great grandmother. And that area is in Pritchard, Alabama.
I mean,
that
there's
she was
also
speaking of.
other streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so here is like a subdivision map of Maximilian Collins' property back in the day. This is a picture that Chris took a few years back. I also had a copy, but I have to locate mine. And I think I spoke with Reggie earlier today via text, and I think he has a copy at his house, but he has to look for it. And once he gets it, I'm gonna try to take it to the library and get it scanned so we can put it into this reserve that we're going to create. I thought this was a cute article that Chris sent to me about Maximilian's oranges. Evidently, some of the best oranges within the South, like I guess north of Cuba, were grown in that area, and he grew a lot of them. So I thought that was like an interesting article. So I put that in there. It was actually 2 articles on Maximilian's and his oranges. And like I said, and this is just some Collins of the past. These are photographs that Laura shared with me the other night as we were going down memory lane. Of course, a lot of the Collins that are online tonight are from the Rupert Collins and Bertina Klopner Collins line. There are other sets of Collins, which I've been kind of trying to reach out to them, like the Cook Collins, the Brown Collins, Crawford Collins. So if you know any other Collins that weren't here or other sets, please like kind of let them know so we can start collecting more information so we can see better how our families are connected and intertwined. And then as far as the last picture is Loretta Collins, which I was told by Laura that was Rupert's sister, correct?
That's correct, right?
Oh, okay.
There. He knows more.
Yeah, that's one of his sisters.
One of his sisters, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then we have some Collins of the present. So I see everybody has their own. I've noticed some of the Collins that have their own micro reunions. It'd be nice to see y'all guys have like a big reunion, bringing all the families together. Because this is one, but I know like the Cooks Collins, they do reunions ever so often. I'm not sure about any of the other branches of the Collins family. But that was like a nice photo.
Yeah, that was like the first and only.
Oh, that was y'all first and only?
Yeah, that was 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Y'all long overdue for a reunion.
Yeah. Is anybody familiar with Pamela Collins?
No.
Hello?
Yeah, is anybody familiar with Pam or Pamela Collins?
Is that a person living now, or is it a?
Yeah, she's living now, and she's
okay.
No, I don't.
Who's she kin to that you know of?
I think she was kin to Ray Collins. He was a dancer overseas, came home.
Oh.
Did Ray
You
live
talking
on
about
the
cousin
island?
Leroy's son?
Yes.
Yeah, cousin Leroy's son.
Yeah. So which Collins is he out of? Uncle Leroy.
Well, he's Leroy, but I was just looking up. He's also related to.
Because I know he knew my mother. He grew up with my mother too. So.
Yeah.
There was Leroy, Thelma.
Yep.
Marydale.
Yep.
And it's a couple others.
That's my relatives.
Yeah, and I think they were Romaines. He was related to the Romaines too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard that? Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's my family.
Oh, okay. And who are you? I'm sorry.
I'm Damon Henningberg. My great grandmother was Mary Magdalene Collins.
Damon Henningberg. Okay.
Yeah.
I came in late. I had left, but I'm back in. I am on the Chastain side.
Me too.
Me too.
Oh, okay.
Say your name again.
I'm Victoria Coleman, and my great-grandmother was Mary Gomez. Mom Mary.
Oh, you're related to Damon.
Oh, that's mine.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I met Damon. Yeah.
That's on my daddy's side. That's on my dad's side.
Yeah. I'm from California. We're at the Chastain's here in Sacramento and Oakland.
Who's it?
And Victoria Coleman.
I was just there last week.
Well, you should have called.
I didn't know. When I had the Gomez reunion, I was up in Elk Grove.
Yeah, that's up by the Sacramento Chastains, up there with the Hindenburg.
Right. So, yes, that's my people. Yeah.
Oh wow. No, because there's a bunch of Hindenburgs and Chastains up in Sacramento.
Right. See, both my grandmothers are Chastain. My father's mother and my mother's mother. And my father's mother's yeah. I'm all messed up.
Yeah,
so
we made book about three months ago. But yeah, okay. Some of the Hindenburgs had came up from Avery.
That's my uncle.
Aubrey, yeah, he lives out in Benton Harbor, Michigan, I believe.
Benton Harbor?
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
You said Benton Harbor?
Yeah, it's somebody we know from Benton Harbor very recently. Who was that?
Yeah, we're Facebook friends, but I've met a couple of Hindenburgs like a couple weeks ago when I was in Sacramento, and I met a Hindenburg. I met your uncle about 4 years ago. He came up for Aunt Dorothy's funeral.
The weather is breaking up, making everybody break up for me, so that's what's going on.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's
y'all going in and out because of the weather. Yeah, the Hindenburgs are Chastain, Hindenburgs, Gomez's, and stuff like that. Yeah. Yes. And then my mother's side is Chastain and Collins.
Yes, I know them. I know. What was your grandmother's name?
Well, my mother was Aline, and her mother was Aline, and my great grandmother was Mary Magdalene Collins.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then she was part Lower Dean. She was part Lower Dean too, and then Leland, then Duretz.
Okay. So, did anybody here among this family here in our family tree that Ava Gervais is a cousin of ours? The screenwriter.
Who?
What is it?
She's
Say
about
the name
Eva
again.
DuVernay. Eva DuVernay.
Yes.
Did Selma.
Oh, Ava DuVernay. Really?
You're talking about my daughter. You're
okay.
talking about my daughter, Sierra Gloyd.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Now, are you Selma?
I'm, yeah.
You're from Selma?
No, I'm not from Selma. I'm from, Mobile. I'm, my grandmother was Bertina, and my grandfather was Rupert Collins. But I'm married to a Gloyd.
Okay, so who is Ava DuVernay related to? I need to know that.
She's a director. My daughter.
I know who she is. I'm saying, who is she? How is she you saying she's connected somehow to the Collinses?
No,
yes,
no,
she
that's
is.
who my daughter works for. Or she might be, I don't know, but
Your daughter works for Ava DuVernay?
Yes.
Maybe she can find out for us then.
Yeah.
Reason why
I sent her the link.
Do you know Dickie Gloyd?
Who?
Dickie Gloyd. Anybody know him?
Yeah, that's my husband's uncle.
That's my uncle.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Howard Sr. is my husband's dad. He's Howard Jr.
Wow.
Now, I do know that Ava DuVernay does not know much about her family history. She didn't until recently. She was because she was on one of those shows with Henry Louis Gates, and that was kind of her first exposure to much of her ancestry. I can't remember the details of that episode though, but I need to go back and look at that and see.
Right.
That would be interesting if she's connected to the Mobile Creoles. In fact,
I know.
try to get her to come to our reunion next
I
time.
know.
Well, the reason why I brought it up is because my mother, Annice Bias Grafford, she used to always talk about Martin Luther King, okay? So she said that she used to sit at Martin Luther King after he would have these, after he would do these presentations in different parts of Mobile. And so she said that she used to stay at a cousin's house in Selma. So I said, well, who was the cousin? She says, it was a cousin that it was one of the connected some way to Chastain. So when I heard Eva Dardanay, heard her speak about her family, they asked her, how did you get a chance to get the release for the movie Selma? She said, my grandmother lived in Selma and Martin Luther King would be at her house all the time. That is the same person that my mother said she used to stay at that house when Martin Luther King came. That's where the grandmother came in. She said she didn't know much about her grandmother, but that's the same house where my mother said she used to go and stay when she was in Selma. Because she said when they released her the rights to write in the Martin Luther King story in Selma, it was all relative to everything my mother had told me.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, we got to follow up on that.
Yeah, we have a cousin here who did the family tree. I was hoping she came on today, but the Devernays are in that family tree. We've gone back 6 generations, and we followed it down with all the different names and how we were connected, and Duvernay is in there as a cousin. And it just makes sense.
Well, I have to let my daughter know because she's actually in New Orleans. She's directing 3 episodes of Queen Sugar, and she's under Ava.
Right. So that would be a great person to talk to. And I want to tell you, if you really, really look at Queen Sugar, if you think about the story, I know it's many Black people that have that same story, but they sure look like that's what they were doing, fighting over that land, which is part of our story.
Yes.
So I wonder where she got that story from, because the story very much mirrors what happened with our family.
Okay.
So it might be real to find out. That would be great if we could find that out, because I tell you, I have the 6 generations, and the Dardanay, their name, they changed the spelling a little bit. That happened the same way with Chastain. They spell it Chastang, Teng, and Chatain. They're all the same.
Right.
I just think that was just a white man's way of kind of hiding behind the inheritance, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Well, I would
There
definitely.
are a lot of reasons why, a lot of the names change, though, for different reasons. Sometimes it's because we change them, and sometimes it's because of, literacy levels. Sometimes it's that, so there can be a lot of different reasons for that.
Yeah, and I do understand that. That's like my mother, she only went to like the 9th grade, so a lot of information I almost had to pull teeth to get information because you didn't want to talk about that too much. But I went down to Alabama after her death. I went to Mount Louis. Not Mount Louis. I went to what is that, Dolphin Island, and I went to the Chastain graveyard while I was there. I actually had to set up an appointment with the priest to be allowed to come through there to go to the Chastain graveyard.
Was that Chastain Bluff?
Yes, it actually was where I was able to see burials, beautiful graveyard, but what I had to be also let in through the back through a chain and lock. He had to unlock it for me to go into the private area. And there was a fresh grave there. I think the last name was Audrey. They had just had a funeral there 2 days ago. I wish I had got there a bit earlier. But I was able to see Pierre, all the different, the old Pierre, Chastain, I took pictures, everything when I was there.
I think you're referencing there are two cemeteries up here in Chastain, Alabama. And they have Chastain Cemetery, Chastain Bluff, and it's located probably within a mile or two of Seymour Bluff. We have we date back to the 1700s in the Seymour Bluff Cemetery. But we have Andrews, Collins, Chastain's, everything in both cemeteries. We're related in both, and it's a local, I guess you say, a family run our own cemeteries.
Yeah, that's the one I went to. I literally have to have made an appointment to go.
Yeah, they're both behind lock and keys because about 30 years ago in the Seymour area, it has the older gravestone, all the graves and stuff. Some idiots went in there with rifles and they shot and just destroyed some of our monuments in there, like over 200 years old. And we're still working now trying to repair them. So we don't leave it open to the public because you get idiots that come in and just put stuff for, I don't know, whatever reason.
Okay. Yeah, I tell you, it's a strong history. We just need, I would just love to have all of it in a book.
Yeah, everybody start getting their documents and we can make that book, create that book.
I know. I would just love all of us to really get together. I mean, I know it would be, but it would be a great thing,
So, Al, were you introduced in the beginning of the meeting?
I'm sorry, I missed the first 20 minutes or so. I sit and wait, my computer said and wait to log in for whatever reason. I missed the first 25 minutes, so I don't know everybody's background. But before we go, Daryl, Sherman, and it's one other gentleman who spoke. The Hindenburg guy. I would like to ask some questions of you guys before you all leave.
Who are you going to ask first?
If it's not that personal, you can ask him now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've worked with Tracy doing the research.
I just put the Zoom on. Can you Zoom?
What's the question?
John, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Sorry.
Right. No, that was some overlap that you heard from somebody while you were talking. You can go ahead.
Okay. Back to my grandparents and everything. They're Collins. They came up from Mount Louis Island, but I have not been able to do any research to take it back to find out who their ancestors were down on Mount Louis. But I had a Maximilian Collins, Agnes Collins, Gee whiz, I'm starting to get into my aunts and everything, but they were dating from back in the late 1800s to the very early 1900s. There's a Martha Collins, and I know that one goes back to about 1880. Anybody familiar with any of them?
What is your question? I'm sorry, you're kind of breaking up. So
say that name again.
Let me see. There was Maximilian Collins. He would have been back from the like 1890s. Agnes Collins, she would have been right at 1900. There was a Winford Collins. These are all sisters and brothers. I forget some of the other names. We started to get out into the aunts and stuff, but you know, these people have been dead for like 50 years. And I was just Collins' name. Does any of that ring a bell?
those names don't really ring a bell off the top of my head. They're probably all interconnected, farther back. I think I can get back, at least with memory, get back to Frank, which was my great grandfather, and that's I'd have to go and look at something to see the other names that go back even farther.
I do have an Agnes Collins in my tree. I do have an Agnes Collins. Looks like she was born 1881.
Probably not her. She probably would have been closer around to 1900.
1900?
Possibly. Did she marry a Chastain?
Let's see. I can't tell.
That entire group, they moved to Chastain, up here in Chastain.
Oh, okay.
Out from there.
Yeah, one paper that I had, you may not have been logged in when I spoke about it, but I was looking through it, and it goes back pretty far, and I noticed that there were some Andrews that had married into the Collins and had moved over, to North Mobile County. So there's probably that connection there, but the names just don't ring a bell off the top of my head.
Yeah, the Andrews in North Mobile County, that's my group.
Yeah, I know. You related to Terry Andrew?
Yes. Her father is Robert Curtis Andrew, World War II veteran.
Yep. We went to high school together.
Citronelle?
No, she went to McGill.
Okay. All right, Mr. Henningberg.
Yes.
By the name of Gerald?
Yes.
Okay, I know your family.
Yeah, my father was kin to Lawrence Andrew.
First cousin?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then I'm also related to the Andrews on my mother's side, Collins.
I'm not going to dominate. I'm not going to halt the show.
But I saw some Andrews on my mother's side too growing up.
Got names?
I got it written down how to go into it.
If it's an Andrew, there's a 99% chance I'm related to him.
Yeah, I am. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
Because at that time, most Creoles married other Creoles, especially in the 18th century,
Yeah, and even up until the 1950s, 1960s, we were strictly, we were discouraged from even dating anybody else that wasn't a Creole.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why we all related.
Sean, Chris?
Mr. Andrew.
Out there. I want one of you guys to take over. Marja?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, I'm done. I'm gonna listen from here on out.
Okay, well,
I guess we're probably winding down again to the end of this. Like I said, this is just a micro reunion for the Collins family to try to bring us all together. Some people are familiar with each other, probably haven't seen each other in a long time. Sometimes for some people, this is the first time you're meeting. And so, like I said, what we really want to do is just expand upon.
Are you done with your slideshow?
I'm sorry, huh? I can't hear. Okay, I thought somebody was asking something. But as I was saying, again, with the micro reunions, like I said, just to kind of get us in together, like for the Mobile Creole Cultural and Historical Preservation Society, we're trying to build our collection so we can help people with genealogy as people become more and more connected through the Ancestry DNA or the various DNA accounts, or just doing their own basic research, where they will have a place to come back home to learn more about it. And, you know, no better places to start back at home base, which would be within the Mobile region area. That's what we're called, the Mobile region Creoles. So I don't know, some people jumped on kind of jumped on a little bit later. And so just to kind of reiterate what we're going to start doing as a small project so we can start building our reserves is we're asking people to make sure you send in your email address. And like, if there's any type of research that you've already done, any type of tree or any type of photos that you can share of your families, specifically the Collins family, we're going to create a database or where we can put all those documents in. So as you're continuing your research or maybe helping somebody else, you can always go into this particular folder or document and be able to do more, you know, pull out information to help you with your research further.
And Barja, what's your email?
Okay, mine is barja.alma@gmail.com.
ALMA, you said?
Yes, alma@gmail.com.
Okay, barja.alma@gmail.
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you.
If you registered for this, we should have the email that you registered on.
Okay, right, okay.
And we do have we got a couple of folks who said they were interested in sort of spearheading coordination among the Collins as far as, you know, pulling resources and information. Whose name I wrote down somewhere.
I think one person was Stacy, correct? Laura.
And,
yeah.
And I think it was Victor.
Oh, Victor. Okay.
I think Victor said he was interested. Where's Victor? Is Victor still here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
I see you. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, should I, announce the door prize?
Yes, you should.
Okay. All right. So we have 2 door prizes. So out of, picked out of a hat of the folks who have picked out of the hat of those folks who here. And so our second winner, start with the second winner, the same prize though. Damon gave it away though, what the prize was. But Heather Jones, you are a winner. Well, you're all winners, but you won a door prize. and also Denise was the winner of the door prize. She was the first one here, so she's the winner of that door prize. And Heather was raffled. So, and what you won is a Ancestry DNA kit. And of course, if you've used a kit on yourself, you may use it on someone else in your family. I always recommend, when people do DNA testing, that they start high up on your tree. So make sure all the elders, you always want to make sure all your elders are tested, especially if they're high in your pedigree. Whether it's not your pedigree, up high up on your tree, whether it's an uncle, aunt, or grandparent, whatever. You always want to start high up on the tree. So, but anyway, you can use it however you want. And so I will be needing your your addresses, so that we can ship it out to you. So that's what you want. You want to
Now,
think about
getting my dad to take that's gonna be like getting water out of a rock. So my brother was actually just talking about doing it. I don't have any uncles around here. They all moved back to North Carolina. My grandparents are gone. So would it be possible, like, would we get some more information if my brother took it?
Yeah, either whoever, it can be whoever, yes. But no, it was just a recommendation that I'm making, that, you know, whenever you're using these DNA testing for our purposes, when when we're trying to build and learn things about our family history and our trees, that ideally you want to start high up on your tree. So, and you can also, if your father drools when he sleeps, you might be able to get a sample that way. So, you will know.
I don't think I like it. I was rearing over his bed at night.
That's funny.
Sean, I sent
Yes.
you my address.
I also have
Okay. I see
it.
Is there any way we can get a copy of the chat today for everyone that have listed their emails?
I think
Yes.
Barsha?
Yes.
as we can do
Yes,
that.
they
Yeah.
recorded.
Okay.
Get that to you.
Okay. The chat is too.
Okay. Yes.
Barja, I did put in Mary Collins Staples' email address in the chat box. That's Ramona's cousin. And she was out in California, but she's moved to Foley. So that's somebody else that we can talk to try and get some information.
All right. Well, maybe we can take a journey over there.
Okay.
I actually tried to get her to log on tonight, but it took an hour.
You're really dragging Laura.
Yeah, that
you
was
broken
slow
up.
motion. Say that again.
Let's see.
Laura, you may have to send a chat for what you're
Yeah,
trying to
good.
say. It's not coming across.
Yeah.
Talk to Mary Staples, and she's 87, and I tried to get her to log on. Okay. I was saying, don't wait on me.
You sound like you're drunk.
Something. Yeah.
That's a party. Hey, Stace, you know Nanny Mona has another cousin that was over in Pass Christian. Grandpa's sister's children were over there, and there might be two. I know WJ's passed, and I know Marie passed, but I don't know.
My internet is bad.
What's that?
I think she said her internet is bad.
Oh, I don't know if Victorine and Bobby is still there.
Okay.
But they, Grandpa's sister married a Barryall, and so they were over there. That's their last name. One quick thing. It was nice meeting everybody. I'm gonna head on out now, if that's okay. Hopefully we can do this again. It's an hour later than on Central Time, but I enjoyed it, and hope to do this again soon.
Thank you for being on. Like, we're about to wrap it up, but thank you for joining us and sharing your information with us.
All
Bye,
right.
Daryl.
Bye, family.
Bye.
My family.
See you
Bye.
guys. Have a good night.
Bye. Bye. Good night.
Goodbye.
Hopefully we'll do this again in about, what, 2 months?
Okay.
Yeah, we possibly can. Just let us know when you want to do another one. We can set this up. Like I said, what we're doing is part of National Creole Heritage Month that we're celebrating. We've been doing something every week.
Oh,
Our
okay.
presentations on Saturday. We started off with talking about Galvez. Then we went into learning about the Creole language. The second Saturday, the third Saturday, Dr. Sean Williams talked about Genealogy 101. And then just this past Saturday, we did a presentation, actually a documentary on Creole Fire #1. Some of the remaining members that are still living, and also people that currently serve in the fire department. So we do have all that stuff that's been recorded. So hopefully that you guys will have a chance, if you didn't get to sit in on any of those those presentations, to kind of peruse and learn just a little bit more about the history, this area, and just also just the research in general, how to do start your family history research.
Yeah, and Heather, you might want to look at that one I did too, that one, the genealogy one. But all of those things, we can find all of them on our Facebook page, right, Barja?
Yeah, I think you should. As our Facebook page is, of course, Mobile Creole Culture and Historical Preservation Society, or MCCHPS, as we call ourselves for short. We also are connected to the Mobile Creole Connections page as well. That's kind of how this organization formed, that got started. And you can also catch us on our website as well for the society.
Yeah, I kind of poke around on the pages a little bit, but it's hard to know where to start. And I get to reading and I'm like, I'm so lost. I just went and did a search in my ancestry for Collins. And then the tree that Tracy did for me to kind of get me started with the Brown name, I guess.
Brown Collins.
Yeah. It's kind of hard finding the connection between my grandmere, who was, you know, Louisiana, and the name Collins and Mobile. So just trying to make those connections, because obviously any record that I found from year to year is different spellings of the names.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it really hard. And of course, you know, word of mouth made it difficult. So I'm going to try to look into some more of these resources and see if I can go from there and get some help. Because it looks like I'm on my own with this as far as family. So, because what they've been told is completely different from what I'm finding. So.
Okay, cool. And like I said, we normally have like our family reunion that we host every year, which, you know, it brings us all together. And sometimes people, when they come down, they spend like an extra day or two to research through some of the archives that we have here, municipal records and probate records and things of that nature that can help you as well, in addition to whatever you find online.
Yeah, I had wanted to come down. I think it was, 2019, I had wanted to come down. But my husband had some health issues and we couldn't quite travel. And then of course this year, you know, so yeah, I'd love to come down and actually get, you know, hands-on and go through the archives and talk to people, because it would just be so much easier, because trying to navigate ancestry and input and different misspellings, it's kind of frustrating. So.
Okay, well, like I said,
that's the nature of the game.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating sometimes, but it's really rewarding though. You know, you'll come across those hits and you're like, man, it makes the frustration worth it.
Yeah, and when I first found out, when I got my DNA back, I was like, that's not what I was told growing up. And then I started picking away at it, and it was surprising. It was a good surprise, you know, because then I got my curiosity was just through the roof, and started going through and finding, even on my grandfather's, my paternal grandfather's side, finding things that my dad didn't even know, in pictures, and we don't even have anymore. So that was pretty good. It's just my Grandmere side's a little spotty. So it's, hopefully I'll make headway again. I got out of it for a while due to work and everything, but I want to get back into it and really start digging and hopefully help add to the information for people. I like knowing who my family is, no matter how distant.
Oh, Heather had posted, I don't know if you saw it, said something about they have mouth swab DNA kits, but of course, the one we have is Ancestry, so you won't be able to do the mouth swab. You know what you could do? You get a turkey baster. It just, but while he sleep, but you gotta wait to let him go to sleep.
Yeah, let him go to sleep and sneak into his house. He
Oh,
only
yeah.
lives 5 miles away.
Oh, okay, that's no problem then.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, my younger brother, he was a surprise baby. He still lives there. He's 17, so I could probably get him to do it. Be a little less creepy.
So is the which side is the Creole connection on? Collins connection.
It's my Grandmere, which is my father's side, his mother.
Okay.
Originally, and like I said, misspellings and Brown came up, but it had originally been, because I was researching names and the different variations, and she always said that she was a Coulon, Coulon. But I couldn't find any record of that being her name, and I tried different variations of it and nothing came up. And that's when I had talked to Tracy on the phone, and she's like, I think I know what your problem is. And went through, and then it started kicking out ancestors with the other names that I knew, but I didn't quite know the spelling of, but all the dates matched. And then it brought back on her, it would be my great grandmother's side, which is where I hit a dead end. And of course, the census and everything was no help, because one census would put them as a different, even their first name was spelled different. My Grandmere, my dad's mom was Aline, and they spelled it with 2 N's at one point. So one time I was trying to read the writing, and it looked like they spelled it alien. So I'm like, all right. But I hadn't gotten past that brick wall with her mother. I got a little bit further back with her father, but then it was just nothing. I was told that they were a Delaporé, and then someone says a Poré, and spelled 4 or 5 different ways. So
is your grandmother living?
No, she's not. She's passed. All of my grandparents have passed.
And they don't have any siblings, huh, that are living?
No, I believe her youngest sister just passed away 2 years ago, Eunice, in New Orleans. So I do the closest I could get is maybe my second, my great aunt's kids. I guess I could still be in contact, and even my other cousins that I was in contact with in East Texas that were from that lineage, they've passed away from unfortunate circumstances. So I'm running out of options. And like I said, my dad's brothers, they all, one of them passed away and the other one moved to North Carolina. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to see them again. They just lived here in West Michigan in Grand Rapids, 40 minutes from me, and then they moved. So seems everywhere I go, there's a brick wall or a, a detour. So,
well, they're made to get around, so you'll find some more information. Also, most of you make a note that well, you don't have to make a note, but in our in the chat box, we put in there the link to the membership page. So those of you who are not join the Mobile Creole Cultural Historical Society, you know, the link is there. I think you can also access the link from the Facebook page as well. So, but it's right there in the chat box there.
I guess that we don't have any other further comments or questions. I guess we can go ahead and end this session. And again, like I said, I do thank everybody for jumping on and sharing your histories with us and just letting us people a little bit more into who you are. And like I said, hopefully we get our projects going and just grow our information, grow our group, and hope to see you all soon at one of our events. Have a good night.
Have a good night. It was good.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for coming.
Yep.
Roll Tide.
Meeting you.
Bye, Cookie.
Bye.
Bye.
So you're gonna